morning, everyone, and welcome, excuse me, to Phil's Corner. Welcome to our Tuesday eBay football shirt hunting stream. Yes, we are back. Finally managed to get consecutive weeks under our belt, so very happy to be coming to you today. Excuse me, but welcome as we begin today's stream. A particular welcome to my new patrons, to Daniel and to Stuart. Thank you both for their recent support. Really appreciate that. Those guys have been invited to the Slack group, and they'll have a Phil's Corner shirt coming their way in the coming months too. So thank you to those guys. If you're interested in my Patreon, you want to find out what that's about, you want to see the kind of benefits you get, including, as I say, the shirt, but also entry into regular giveaways, and essentially you'll have my ear. I'll respond to people on the Slack a lot quicker than I will anywhere else. If that's of interest, do jump over to YouTube. If you're not already on YouTube, if you're watching this through Twitter, in the description there is a link to my Patreon, but you can also search for more than a shirt and it should come up if you look for that. But any questions, of course, just give me a shout. But thanks to those guys, thanks to Stuart, thanks to Daniel, and my other current patrons. Hope everyone is well tonight. And we have a very simple task today. That is to try and see what eBay has to offer. What shirts we can find on eBay. What football shirts we can maybe snipe for a bargain. Or indeed, as is probably more likely, but still hopefully of some entertainment value, we'll also go through some of the less exciting shirts. Some of the fakes that we come across. And also just figuring out if a shirt is fake. That's kind of part of the eBay experience, or indeed any other marketplace, is being able to kind of pass through all the kits to figure out what is real, what is not real. So hopefully it'll be a success, but if not, we'll still learn along the way. And thank you again to those watching on Twitter. If you are watching this on Twitter or X and you want to join the chat, you can do so. Simply click on the just underneath the video in the card there, and you should have a chat window on your right. And indeed, excuse me, got something in the throat. I'm gonna just type in a message and hopefully that will come up. Indeed, I think it has. Yeah, so you can join in the chat, as I say, as much as you can on YouTube. So a couple of options there for you to join the chat, and of course that is where you can ask me questions. It's where you can comment on what we're looking at today, so do feel free to jump on there. But without further ado, of course, please consider subscribing to my YouTube as well, to Phil's Corner, if you are new. Lots of content to come, and of course, as a subscriber, you will get the videos in your feed. You can also hit the bell icon, and that gives you notification when I go live. Excitingly, we're going to be starting a Monday morning show, and hopefully that'll be this week. That's the plan, which will be a bit of a kind of weekly roundup, a bit of a news show, a bit of a show to kind of get everyone up to speed with what's happened in the shirt world, new releases, anything that happened over the weekend, that sort of thing. So yeah, as I say, it will likely be this Monday that we'll kick that off, so that should be fun. And I think it'll be kind of early-ish, kind of 8 o'clock, something like that, maybe 9 o'clock. I'd like to do something like 8, because then it's in before the commute, or at least as people are commuting, but we'll see anyway. Okay, excuse me, I quickly wolfed down my tea before jumping on, and that was not a good idea, because I'm still clearly clearing my throat, so apologies for that. Let's get to it. So I've gone for a very, very broad term football shirt. Doesn't get much broader than that. and I've just done ending soonest. We've got auctions. Well, in fact, I was going to say we've got just auctions. I will now change it to just auctions. Of course, there's buy it now as well, which is a very valid option. But we'll go for auctions and let's see what eBay has to offer. In terms of what we're looking for, honestly, anything's on the table. I'll be very happy to kind of pick up some cheap deals, but occasionally you do see a higher value shirt, and some of my best ever finds have come through eBay. So you honestly never know. Sometimes you get some incredible finds. As a begin though, it's a fairly modest start, I think it's fair to say. Player issue training tops can be of interest, but that's an extra small, so that's not much use. And of course, you always have to question that you do see player tracksuits and jackets on eBay from time to time. Of course, you want to make sure it's from a fairly reputable seller, but you do see them from time to time, and they can be of interest. But as I'm scrolling through, honestly, not seeing much. If this Dutch shirt was in a medium or large, that could be something. But even still, not enough to grab my attention. Not too much interest in a retro shirt, as nice as that one is. Now, this Fiorentina shirt is quite nice. It's not particularly high value. These were kind of widely available, but it is nice. Again, I don't think it's one I'm going for. I did actually have this one in my own collection. I did sell it a couple of years after owning it. I forget what I sold it for now, but it wasn't. I don't think I made a profit on it particularly. Fiorentina shirts do have something about them, and this was a fun year when they did go back to one of their old crests. It is quite a fun crest design there with the F there. Very stylized. I do like it a lot. It is quite a nice shirt. This is, I believe, just the replica spec. That is a good price for it. So if this, this is the kind of shirt where actually at this price, it's a solid deal. It is a very solid deal. Medium, it's probably going to fit more like a kind of small / medium, but this isn't the Kappa player spec shirts, which would be a lot tighter. So you don't have to worry too much about sizing up, I would say. But yeah, potentially it would be a slightly slimmer medium. But that is the first one of the day, which is caught enough of my interest. So we'll leave that one. I'm curious to see where that ends up at. Sometimes, it's not just the auctions we actually enter in, but even just the ones like this. I'm curious to see. It's always interesting, I think, whether you are someone who sells a lot or you're just a collector. You don't tend to sell shirts. It's still interesting to kind of gauge price, and if I was to pick a figure, I would say I would expect this to be sold on somewhere like Classic Football Shirts for something like, well, Classic would probably charge something like 40, I would say, maybe even 50, but the market value I think is closer to something like a 25. That's would be my punt, my stab in the dark for what this is worth. So again, given the price it's on currently, if that could be had for certainly under 15, I think that's a great deal. Even under 20, it's probably not too bad either. Obviously, you have to take into account it is used, although the condition looks good. But yeah, a nice pickup there, and a nice potential addition to a collection for sure. Hey JPR says, got the Olympics swimming on the background. Lovely stuff. Yeah, I've not caught as much of the Olympics as I've wanted to, but I did catch a bit today. Yeah, and indeed, the swimming definitely one of the highlights today on the schedule. So that's cool, man. And yeah, JPS says I've got the player version of the Fiorentina Lovely shirt. It is indeed. It is, I think, a really strong design. It's got, I mean, I particularly like, excuse me, these central bands of colour. It's one of the tropes of the channel, but I do really gravitate towards that look. So I think it is actually one of the better Fiorentina shirts of the last 10, 12 years, perhaps. I assume this is, yeah, this looks like a retro remake based on the label. I may be wrong on that. Maybe this is something which I'll now want to check if this is a remake or not. Yeah, it's a remake. I'd be curious to see actually what these go for. So £50. It's interesting, isn't it? I think the whole market had to size up by 2. Oh man, that's player spec, isn't it? For player spec Kappa. I think the whole conversation around remakes is quite interesting. I think anytime you have the branding of the original branding of the shirt present, and if it's a collaboration like this between the club and Umbro, then I think that's automatically a massive step up compared to when you don't have the manufacturer logo. And this is exactly what you want in a remake in terms of its authenticity or the kind of attention to detail. It looks really strong to me, clearly distinguishable from the original with things like the label, so that's good, because again, you do want to make sure there are distinguishing features. So yeah, it's funny because it shows it's funny, this is available for £50, and yet it's, you know, getting some action. I mean, you might as well, right? If you're going to get a large anyway, you might as well save a tenner. But it shows the demand, it shows the interest there, and this is certainly I think a good way of doing a remake like this. I think that works quite effectively, and a lot of clubs are doing that now, and it is interesting to see. Let's see what that goes for as well. Actually, let's open a tab. Do want to say it again, welcome to those watching on Twitter. One thing which I'm going to try and get it set up, and I can probably do it, I'll get it done hopefully for Thursday, is where we've got our little view account on Twitter. I want to add the Twitter views if we can as well, and I think I just need to pull my finger out and sort that out. So we'll look at doing that maybe as soon as Thursday. But thank you, because we've been having good numbers through the various streams, so I do want to say yeah, appreciate everyone's input. Now, what I do need to do, one second guys. Speaking of Twitter, I need to find a way. I think if I just do this, basically I need to make sure I can view the chat facility properly. Because that's not loading. Hey Andy, I was going to say I could see the message but I couldn't read it. It was too small on my screen, but good to see. Jackson Jersey's tuning in. Welcome, my friend. Right. Let's continue. Yeah, I saw your message flash up, but I couldn't actually read it. That's one thing where, again... Okay, here we go. Okay, I've just figured this. Sorry, this is me figuring out how to multi-stream on the fly, and I've just figured out I can bring up a simultaneous. This is of no interest to anyone, I'm sure, but I can bring up the chat simultaneously for YouTube and Twitter on one side, and it's big enough for me to read. Let's go, making improvements on the fly. Good stuff. JPR says, I was looking at the Spurs retro shirts recently. Both Hummel 80s and Umbro 90s remakes have the manufacturer's logo. I was wondering what their fans make of them. Yeah, I think that's really interesting, JPR, that a club, excuse me, a club have basically covered multiple bases, and of course neither brand working with Spurs at the moment. They are working with Nike for their the new kits, of course, but I think it's really interesting. I really like that. I think that's, again, to me, that's preferable over something like a score draw, which fulfills a gap in the market. But I think generally speaking, the club and manufacturer partnerships do go down very well. The funny thing is that the price of them is often quite high, and indeed Like got that Ipswich one now, which was 50 quid. That's certainly kind of not uncommon. So in that sense, there is potentially a jump up from your kind of score draw shirts, which tend to be more, well, they used to, probably not anymore. It used to be around kind of 30 quid. To be fair, they probably are more now. But I think it's a really interesting conversation. Andy says my first 24-25 shirt as well. It's long sleeve. Coventry home. Sterling job at Hummel. Oh man, really cool pickup there, Andy. And I think it's definitely the kind of kit which, though I've not seen it in person, the embossed details look really sweet. And I'd love to see that one in person. So great to hear that. I've yet to pick up a 2024 shirt, but I've got a couple in mind, a couple that I'm looking at. Now this is an interesting shirt. Here we have the Belgrano 2021 shirt. Now some of you will know I did a little documentary on Belgrano and their new kits, or what were their new kits, a couple of years ago. And it's easily one of the best videos we did on the channel. Do check that out. If you search for Belgrano documentary or Belgrano shirt documentary, it should come up hopefully. If not, I need to change my keywords on my YouTube video. But yeah, and I really enjoyed kind of chatting with some people from the club, some fans, and indeed some designers from Araya. This is, of course, a shirt from just before the Araya with Zhivova. But this is a really sweet pickup. Not a shirt which I've actually seen much before at all in terms of availability, and you can't easily get Belgrano shirts in the UK. So I think this is an easy auction entry here. First thing though, and again, housekeeping, this is always important with eBay. Let's just figure out, number one, is this the right shirt, or is this, the shirt it's listed as? And then of course we want to figure out what is the price, what is the kind of going rate. Now I think just off the bat I'd probably be happy sticking something like 20 quid on this one with fairly little thought. But we do want to do our due diligence, because again, it's possible that I didn't need to do that. It's possible that the shirt is actually quite common, or indeed it may not be real. So, Football Shirts, a great community site. There are gaps sometimes for some teams, but we do have, again, confirmation, close to confirmation that the shirt is what it says it is. You do have to sometimes cross-reference with other sites, but that looks good. I mean, certainly I would be very surprised if this was faked. I almost don't even think we need to double check that. But what I do want to see is this shirt available elsewhere? Now, a very quick Google search doesn't bring any immediate results. And indeed, if we were to go and just sort of try and broaden our search, sorry, there's a couple of Hummel shirts as well, which would be great for the collection. I mean, this is the thing. These shirts just don't typically pop up. Like if you were to go to a classic football shirts, they will probably have one or two Belgrano shirts. But I'll be surprised if they have many more. Okay, they've got one from the Lecoq Sportif here for quite a lot of money. So anyway, I think it's hard to gauge value for this. I wouldn't go crazy, but I think certainly, given the relatively hard to find nature of this one, it does have a lot of interest. Now there is a notable pull there, a notable nick, and that does change the equation. And this of course is important again with any marketplace you're shopping at. When you see something like that immediately knocks off a bit of value. Not tons, but it is in a prominent position of the kit there. It's probably the worst place you'd want a pull like that. The rest of the shirt looks to be in really good condition, but that immediately changes things. So I think, I'd said about 20 quid, and I think that's probably still a good price for it. but I think I'd like to keep it a bit lower, and I'm probably going to stick in something like 16 quid. Now it's funny, and this is something I say every time, but I'll say it again. Obviously, when I'm putting in this bid, it's in view of you guys, so you may want to snipe me. I don't think that's happened, despite, you know, again, doing this many times. But I think we're going to stick in a bid for 16.60, and with delivery 20 quid. Let's see what happens. Of course, again, a lot can change in 16 minutes, but yeah, this is the thing. Belgrano, again, they're a team now on my radar. It's funny, isn't it? Teams you sort of start to take interest in, sometimes because of something you watch or whatever it might be. In my case, certainly they're, you know, now, like, like, Argentina is high up on my wish list, or South America in general is high up on my wish list of destinations. And if I do ever get over there, I'm going to have to make sure I go and visit Belgrano, I think. Yeah, there we go. Our first actual auction entry. Incidentally, Fiorentina shirt at 16.50, just about to end, and the Ipswich shirt again at the high 30s there. But let's see what the Belgrano one goes for. 8.40, so that's not too long. Brock, Brock says, have you heard about the Inverness Caledonian Thistle ownership saga? I have not. Could you summarise it in a message, in a chat message, or is it too complicated for that, Brock? Loved your Belgrano video. Thank you, Brock. Appreciate that very much, mate. Yeah, I was really proud of that one. As we continue, seeing a bit of Coventry. This FC Utrecht shirt is quite funny. The largest sponsor, it seems, in the world, the huge T. There is a novelty factor to this one. Not a bad price, although I don't think it's enough to tempt me. But I think, again, you know, in terms of like a potential five-a-side pickup, this is definitely in that kind of in that ballpark. It's a great colorway. I believe this was actually one of Nike's stock patterns, but nonetheless, brilliant colorway, ridiculous sponsor. I think if it was like a bit cheaper, I'd be tempted, and it's still a reasonable price, but not necessarily a huge bargain, but definitely something to look out for. You can see I've been looking for New Balance trainers. Sorry, that's changed my eBay a bit there. 16.50, nice pickup there for whoever won that. So yeah, not one we're going for, but I think, again, keep that open and see what that ends up going for in the end. Guys, as we continue as well, be sure, if you are around on Thursday afternoon, to join us for the Hot Wall. We still have tons of shirts to go through. We're going to be catching up for a while because we are in the heat, the middle of new shirt season. There's tons of new shirts. So Thursday for the Hot Wall. I hope to see you out there if you're around. And again, you can watch that either on X or on YouTube. And please, if you've got feedback on, again, the streams, particularly, again, now that we're getting a few more people in through Twitter, we'd love to hear that. You know, any improvements, any things which you like or dislike, reach out to me. You can DM me on X or Twitter. Again, you can stick it in the chat. And now, so I must say, I enjoy a good listing that just says football shirt. To me, sometimes I actually see that as a positive, because when you see someone just hastily checking on a shirt like that, I think there's bargains to be found in this sort of listing. And indeed, this Spurs shirt, there is nothing special. You know, a very good price. Although there is a reserve, so there's you know, unlikely to be sniped for too low. Brock saying, basically, the new potential owner is so full of himself, and all of his business ventures have failed, and nobody knows how he has money to buy a club. Fantastic. That's a mess. A shame for MLS fans, but that is pretty wild. Now this is funny, isn't it? Another hilarious listing. We just had football shirt, which is great, and then this is good. Need gone ASAP. Now I wonder why that is the case. I mean, yeah, no real description. This looks pretty good at first glance. We could indeed Google that code to double check, but I must say first impression is that looks good, but again we would want to check because this is the kind of shirt that would be faked. Yeah, not super tempted. I mean, it is a good price if it was real, but size small kind of rules it out for me. Not that I wouldn't ever buy a small shirt, but typically I'm looking for a medium or large. I do sometimes pick up shirts that are outside that, and yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of either of the England kits. They're fine, but I much prefer some Nike's earlier efforts. But again, potential bargain there if indeed it is real. Again, you can Google the code there just under the S, and quite simply, if it comes up with a picture of the shirt, all is good, and if not, it's definitely pause for thought. Not one we're going for, but definitely one to potentially look at if you are looking for one of the New England shirts. Yes, Brock, the women's rugby. I actually need to catch up with the final. I watched the semis and I really enjoyed Canada beating Australia. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, I haven't seen the highlights actually of the game, of the final, but that's good stuff. Certainly better than the men's team fared. But yeah, no, it's as I was saying before, not caught as much of the Olympics as I would have liked to, so I need to step up my game. Of course, lots to come in the coming days over in Paris. There you go. The Ipswich shirt went for 41, so a slight saving, but not much really on the retail price. So quite an impressive total there. We're still winning the Belgrano shirt, but again, there is time to go. Parma, another team who certainly have some bangers in their history. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought there. And this is one of these stranger ones. I honestly don't particularly like this version. This crest here, very kind of like boarding school vibes, I think, for me there with the crest. But it is a champion Parma shirt, and I think that definitely holds some weight. At this price, it's not unreasonable, but it's not what I'd be looking to pay. We could stick in a lower offer, but not one we're going for. However, definitely a team again, which I have some love for. And JBR says, yeah, so that your show were looking really strong initially. Yeah, I mean, they of course have a very good team. And yeah, they were, and Canada really dug in, and it was good to see. Again, I mean, not only for my anti-Australian bias, which is terrible to say, but as a Kiwi, I think it's in my blood somewhat. It's all friendly, of course, but also Canada, you know, I mean, I feel like I support about 6 or 7 nations at this point, but for I and my wife, who spent a lot of her childhood in Canada, we have some family in Canada, so they're probably by 4th or 5th nation. Oh, and USA beat Australia for the bronze as well. Wow, okay. So yeah, that's funny, isn't it? I mean, often the case when a favourite or one of the favourites gets pipped in the semis, that bronze medal match is the last thing they want to do. But I mean, it's funny because with the Olympics, obviously, it's a little bit different. Of course, with with like a cup competition, like a World Cup, the incentive is much less. Whereas with the Olympics, certainly a bronze medal is much weightier than a bronze World Cup medal. Any Olympic gear caught you out? Well, that's a good question, JPR. I'm trying to think what it was. Was it? I feel like there was something from Japan that was really sweet, and I forget which sport it was now. I'm sure there was some Mizuno Japan gear which caught my eye, and I forget what sport it was now. I'll come back to you on that. As I hope you watch more of the Olympics this week, I'll have a few more answers for you. I was also one thing I love as well about the Olympics is when you see kind of fashion lifestyle brands kind of in the sports world. So like, certainly last Olympics, Uniqlo, the clothes shop, were doing, I believe they did Sweden's football kits, which was really random. I think I saw North Face were working with South Korea, which was a pretty fun collaboration. So it's honestly so fascinating because you get everything from the kind of, the unbranded stuff, or the stuff which is virtually unbranded, to some of these really kind of, again, really interesting brands who you wouldn't say typically see in the worlds of football, or other kind of mainline sports getting involved with the Olympics. It's very cool to see. These concerts are absolutely wild for this price as well. Oh, this is an interesting one. Now, I have to say, this has definitely got piqued my interest. This is a vintage Valencia jacket. Now, unfortunately, it's not. Ideally, for a jacket like this, I'd probably be looking for a large. However, it's too good to pass up, and I think this one might have to be another potential bid. Now, it is ending a little bit later in the evening. Japan are wearing their Y3 shirts in the women's. That's interesting, JPR. Huh. Very, very interesting. Right, so yeah, I mean, jackets like this, I don't tend to collect jackets, but I like to look out for something. Valencia, again, I talked about the international teams that I follow. Valencia, pretty much my Spanish team, or as close to a Spanish team as I'd get. And I really like, Luanvi, one of these brands who kind of disappeared from the world of football largely, if not entirely. I don't think I've seen their name pop up for quite a while. But they had a really fun period of shirts with Valencia, and of course this was particularly iconic. But these, some great kits. This, again, some of the most memorable Valencia kits of all time. So a brand, and they were with them for quite a while actually, from 93 all the way to 99, 2000. So definitely, again, a really fun kind of combo. Now this jacket, it's going to be hard to find this online, I would assume, but let's see if we can find anything. Because again, any indication or any rough guide will be really helpful. So here we go. We do have the same listing, and this is really interesting. And this is it, guys. This is what we are talking about. The same jacket, classic football shirts, in I would say a worse size, or certainly what should be a cheaper size, for 150 quid. And this is, of course, it could shoot up, but currently at 38. This is eBay. This is what eBay is all about. Getting a shirt for, obviously it could rise, but potentially a third of the price, maybe less. It will probably rise a bit, but it's just, great to see this kind of item here. And of course, many of the vintage jackets and the gear like that, it tends to go, people kind of know that it's quite valuable, because stuff like this just doesn't appear all that often, hence the price at classic. Obviously they charge a huge markup, but I think I'd be comfortable saying this would have a retail value of upwards of £100, maybe £80. I think 100 wouldn't be unreasonable in a good size, in good condition. I wouldn't, wouldn't be surprised to see it at that price. It has all the hallmarks of a great 90s jacket. I mean, it's funny because actually, if anything, the zip is different here. We actually have, a much better zip with the Luanvi logo there. So I don't know what the story is there. That even looks like a replacement, or maybe it's just a different version of the jacket. I don't know. So this is definitely one. We're going to watch this, and we are going to enter this auction later. Whether we get in, I think if we can get it for under 50, I'll be thrilled. We'll see how we go with that one. Vox says, I just got a Real Oviedo shirt. They're probably my Spanish team. Very nice, very nice. JPL says, a real shame Oviedo missed out on promotion. I confess, I do not know who got promoted. So let's have a look. And see what's the best way we can do this. In fact, it was probably not to Social Liga. What's it called? The Segunda Division. 23, 24, and they're not showing me the promotion here. If we just go to here, there's definitely better ways of doing this. But now we've started. Wikipedia will help us out. We've gone too far. So Leganes, Valladolid, and Espanyol. There you go. Honestly, all of this passed me by. Yeah, good stuff. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that, of course, but oh, hang on. Looks like we potentially won the Belgrano shirt. That's really cool. For $13.50, honestly, this is probably one I'll keep in the collection. Unlikely to try and flip this one, which I do sometimes do. I do sometimes sell shirts on. Sometimes even for profit, sometimes not. But I think, and again, there is some damage to this one. But yeah, happy with that. Another Belgrano shirt for the collection. There we go. An eBay win. Very happy to pay, just over 15 quid for that. I don't know many. I've not had many Jovova shirts in my time as well. Only one or two I can think of that have passed through my hands. So yeah, really good stuff. Very happy with that. And again, just a nice one to add to the other Belgrano shirts that I have. I've only got a couple. But very happy to add that one to the collection for a good price. Nice. We got a good win there. Oh, they got to the player final, JP, I see. To go to the Primera. Very, very interesting. So yeah, this is Luanvi jacket, guys. I'm just super happy to just see a find like this. Because it is just, again, a textbook example of what eBay can deliver. There are still bugs to be had. Of course, again, the price will rise. But we saw the Belgrano shirt there. Yes, there is some damage, so we do have to take that into account. And it is notable. But it's, drastically cheaper than it would be elsewhere. For a shirt which just simply just doesn't pop up much at all. Belgrano shirts in general are very hard to find, so it's quite a niche kind of audience for this one, but really happy with that nonetheless. Good stuff. I think, guys, we'll leave it there. It's been 40 minutes, so slightly shorter than some other streams, but I think that's a nice place to end it. And indeed, with the Belgrano win, and we'll see how we get on with the jacket later today. But that's really sweet. And I'll just bring my screen on there. Guys, thank you for tuning in today. And whether you've tuned in on here on YouTube or on Twitter, also apologies, I didn't get my lights up, so I'm a little bit in darkness here. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your contributions in the chat, for those who have been in the chat. And indeed, I've really enjoyed. I'm glad that the simultaneous Twitter streams seem to be running okay. Hopefully, we can continue to kind of leverage that and make use of that. And yeah, really, really happy that we've got that rolling. Indeed, as well. Look out for Monday. All being well, we'll get our Monday morning kind of weekly roundup show, which will be kind of this week in shirts. Roundup of shirt news, any big releases or big stories, and yeah, a bit of a kind of just some bite-sized content. We'll do it most likely streamed like this again, because I think it just to allow the opportunity for questions and that sort of thing. And the full Fields Corner videos as well are still continuing. Those are just so much more time consuming to film and to record and to edit. Sorry, but they will be continuing as well. So they're not disappearing. But I think my hope is that as the streams kind of continue and as they perhaps again ramp up a bit more with an extra show a week, that will just provide a bit more content and a bit more activity on the channel. But thank you guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching again, whichever platform you watched on. On your way out, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I do want to say once again, thank you to my recent new patrons, Stuart and Daniel. Thank you to them. If you want to find out more how you can support me as a content creator, how you can get a bunch of benefits, including a shirt as part of your support, check out the link in the description of the YouTube video. And of course, any other questions, do let me know. Thanks, JPR. Great to have your company, mate, as always. Hope to see you Thursday. And yeah, thanks everyone else. I will see you very soon. Take care and all the best.